Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday to all of you. And Lesli Bitel here, business coach and mentor for private practice professionals. And I have a really great topic and an awesome guest for you today. I'm so excited to introduce to you one of my amazing clients, actually, longtime clients. Annie Rubin. Hey, Annie, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Could not be better, actually. So, really just so delighted to have you. Thank you in advance for spending some time with us.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
excited to be here.
we have an awesome topic, right? We got a really good topic. We were just chatting about it before we clicked the go live button. And that is, we're going to chat all about creating what we're what we're calling intensive group programs, right? So you guys are, I think, many of you familiar with my profit pyramid model. And basically, that profit pyramid, remember the very top of that profit pyramid is your high end programs, usually one on one. One level down, which is a level B, is really where we're going to spend our time focusing today on, again, like that hybrid, intensive group program. Okay. So we're going to break it all down for you. We're going to talk a lot about the benefits to expanding your business through these types of offerings, the importance of choosing a program that fulfills a specific need within your target audience. Okay, so that is super important. And not only the structure, like what do you include in a program like this, but also, very importantly, how do you go about filling it? So, really great stuff. And I will just say that that level B in that profit pyramid, that one step below the one-on-one, is I'm really seeing a lot of my clients have tremendous success focusing right there. Okay, because it is a hybrid, right? So your client will get that personalized attention that they desire, but also, you are able to somewhat scale, right? Like some of the stuff you're repeating all the time, day in and day out, that's the content that we want to bundle up and, basically make that into a more scalable component of your program. All right. So with that all being said, let's jump in. Again, so happy to have you. I was, as I said, I looked at my calendar and I was like, yay, Annie, I'm so excited to be able to chat with her. So I've known Annie for a while, right? Gosh, how long has it been?
Since 2020, we started working together, like right
Okay,
before the pandemic started.
that's
So
right,
yeah,
right. So, and it's such a pleasure to be able to, watch your, just kind of be able to be a part of your journey and really witness your growth, right? And so, why don't we kick things off by tell us just a little bit about you and, how, your niche, just a little bit about your background.
yeah. So this is actually my second career. I used to be in banking, and I made the switch to nutrition because it was something I was just always very passionate about, and I felt like there was a need for it. Within kind of my own community and just in large, I just have seen so many people who have struggled with, health, and I think
Mhm.
nutrition can be a big component of that. So, I worked in a hospital setting for a while, and then right around uh, like it's right around the birth of my second child, I decided to start a private practice. And when I connected with Lesli, I was at the point where I really wanted to start to grow it. I wasn't seeing much growth, and so she really helped me kind of focus on a specific niche, and that niche ended up being autoimmune and inflammatory disorders, because I myself suffer from an autoimmune disease. A lot of people in my family have as well, and I felt like there wasn't a lot of nutrition counseling for this population, and I thought there was a pretty big need for it. So that's kind of where my practice started and grew from there.
Amazing. Yeah, it really seems to have turned out to be a great fit, all things considered, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love working with my clients, and I learn a lot myself. So
Yeah.
it's been a really great experience.
Yeah. So many people are frightened to niche down. What are your thoughts around that? I know this is a little off the cuff, but since you have done it yourself, how do you feel like it's worked out for you?
I was terrified to do it because I felt like I wouldn't have enough clients. It
Yeah.
would be like way too specialized. And so when I actually started kind of building out my practice, I had a couple of different areas of focus. I did autoimmune. I also did more intuitive eating and kind of
Mm,
general wellness because I was really afraid. But I was finding that more and more of my clients tended to be more interested in the autoimmune kind of component of my services. And then I also felt that I was just I was servicing those clients better. And because I think I was more passionate about it. So I really decided, a couple of years ago to just stop everything else and just focus on autoimmune. And it's made a huge difference. You know, I haven't lost clients. I've actually grown. My business has grown pretty substantially over the
mhm.
last couple of years. So it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah. People want specialists, right?
Right.
They really do, especially when they have, a diagnosis like an autoimmune disorder. So yeah, I can understand how it would be so helpful. And the interesting thing, I don't know if this is, I don't know if you do this, but just kind of thinking through mindful eating, it seems like you could integrate some of those strategies with your clients, right? It's just
Yeah.
right.
I
So
do. Yeah, because a lot of it is, noticing how foods make you feel and, if
right.
there's an inflammatory component to it. So I am able to incorporate a lot of the mindfulness and almost intuitive eating kind of with my clients kind of under the rug.
Right,
So,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. So even I mean, for those of you that are maybe in that boat where you're a little bit cautious or frightened to niche down, that is the important thing to remember is you can still integrate a lot of different strategies in your toolbox in order to help your clients achieve those desired results. So it doesn't have to be, like a lot of people are worried, like it's going to be boring. I'm going to get bored. It's just not enough variety. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a look at our comments. Hey, Shirley, welcome. So good to have you. Some people I cannot see Facebook unless you click that little button that allows me to, or allows Facebook to share your name. Otherwise, I can't tell who you are, but hello. um, all right. So let's see here. All right. So you decided on your autoimmune niche, and it has turned out that it actually helps you to attract more clients. So in your practice, then I guess give us a little background on what was it that propelled you to create another entirely new service inside of your practice.
So I was finding that, as I was getting more and more one-on-one clients, I was feeling a little stretched thin. And so and for some people too, my pricing was out of, it was
Yeah,
it was too expensive for them. But I don't want anyone to not be able to get nutrition help if they can't afford it. So
right.
I'm like, what are ways that I can kind of get around this? So then I decided to try doing a group program to see, if I could reach more people at a lower price point. And, to be honest, the first group program I tried, it was a more lower cost, standard, more like a, you know,
Like a
program
webinar
where,
series.
yeah, like a webinar series.
Uh-huh.
And I got no one, I got one person to sign up.
Okay.
So that was kind of frustrating. Like, well, maybe my population doesn't want a group program or doesn't need it. But
Mhm.
I thought, there has to be some way that I can still reach more people at a lower price
Right.
point that
Good for you.
would work for me.
Yeah, good for you for I'm so happy that you were persistent. So what do you think it was? What was, and sometimes, just to be perfectly transparent, sometimes when we first try something new, there's so many different variables. If it doesn't go exactly how we hoped, there's a lot of different variables to explore. So what I think I'm hearing you say is that the webinar, kind of like the 6-week course model, it just didn't land for your audience, right? It doesn't sound like that it was, they just didn't perceive it as something that they really wanted. Is that really the bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, and most of my clients come to me like feeling really awful, and so they are almost desperate for, a little bit more guidance and
Yeah.
help. And I felt like, kind of a webinar series like
Yeah.
wasn't going to quite get them
Mm,
there.
okay.
So yeah, and so I figured, I need to find another way to kind of at least give them more attention, to have some good results, but
Hmm.
without maybe kind of expanding it more, to add more, I guess, hand holding.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like that was the missing element is they looked at the offer probably, and saw it was a 6-week group webinar series. And they were probably thinking, gosh, I'm really sick. I need more personalization. So if we were to like pull out that one missing piece, it sounds like that was it, right?
Yeah, I think so because, then I went ahead and changed my approach and I decided, I kind of looked at what I'm offering my clients now, my one-on-one program, and I'm like, how can I make this into a group program where I'm still giving them the same amount of, information, the same amount of guidance, but just in a larger setting. Um, and so that's how I kind of, came up with my more high touch, intensive group program that really mirrors what I do with my one-on-one clients, but it's at a lower price point. It's a group, and and the nice thing about it too is there's a community aspect to it, which I think a lot of my clients didn't realize that they needed, but once they have
Mm.
it, that is kind of a nice, just extra bonus of doing the group program.
Absolutely. Especially in this day and age, I would imagine just that feeling of connectedness with
Mhm.
other people that are also, potentially struggling with similar issues. So quick question, do you work with a variety of different types of autoimmune?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and how does that work in a group? Like if they've got, Hashimoto's over here, maybe celiac over there, do you find any challenges with that?
So, I mean, the general kind of the way I approach all my clients is it's not the same because everyone's different, but kind of the very general sense of just basic nutrition for reducing inflammation can be applied to anyone. And
Right.
then what I do with, recognizing that everyone's disease is slightly different and you have different needs, I add in those like a couple of one-on-one sessions. So there they get my real like personal attention. They get a little bit more guidance that's more directed specifically for them in terms of, what other dietary things they can do, maybe what supplements, lifestyle, those types of things that kind of help their specific disease heal. So, in general sense, they get kind of my overall nutrition expertise, but then within the one-on-one, um, offering, they get a little bit more for them specifically, which I think has been really nice and worked and has been working really well.
Awesome. That's so good. So yeah, that's really interesting. That you can, put a variety of different diagnoses inside of one group. And I think it's really encouraging to hear that how well that works and just how powerful that can be. So basically, in terms of why you decided to create this type of program, it sounds like a lot of it had to do with price point, right? Being
Yep.
able to offer really high quality services that are extremely result oriented at a lower price point with the benefit of having a sense of community that really isn't probably happening with your private clients, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that is like a really interesting point of differentiation is
Right.
that community aspect.
And I think a lot of times with autoimmune diseases too, people aren't very open about sharing about them.
Okay.
With my own experience. I mean, I have my own autoimmune disease, and I didn't tell people about it for years. Like no one
Okay.
knew that I had one. So it was very
Interesting.
isolating. So I feel like
Yeah.
when you have a community of people who are going through the same thing as you, it
Yeah.
can really kind of open up a lot more pathways to healing and feeling that you're not alone in this journey, which can be really, hard and yeah, isolating.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. Let's see here. Hey Sharon, welcome. Yes, let's get right into how you structure your offering. Great question.
Yep. So how I basically pitch it is, because I've mirrored my group program off of my one-on-one work, I basically say, my group program is the same that you would get as if you were my one-on-one client. The difference is, they're both a 3-month program. With my one-on-one clients, we meet every other week. With the group program, you meet every week, and then you get 2 additional one-on-one sessions with me. So, there's basically 10 group sessions and then 2 one-on-one sessions to cover the 12 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they have the option to do biomedical testing. So a lot of people in my last group did food sensitivity testing.
Mm.
And that too, I can discuss that in my one-on-one visit, so they don't feel like they're missing out on that kind of personalization that I give them with my one-on-one work. So they still have that option as well, which I think is a really nice bonus.
Oh, that's amazing. I was going to ask you, how do you work in that functional nutrition testing? Yeah, and it's 12 weeks, Cindy, exactly. um, so can you tell us how you weave that in?
With the testing
Yeah,
or
testing.
yeah, so I usually at the beginning of before the program actually starts, I ask people, what they're interested in, if they're interested in doing any testing, and then we make sure that we have all the testing done and the results back before our first session. So we have at least something extra to talk about at
Yeah.
that session so they can start, on that trajectory. And then the next follow-up session, which is usually a few weeks after the first session, we are able to kind of follow up on their progress and focus in on, what they need individually as well.
Okay, amazing. That is a very common question that I get is, how in the world can I do like genomic testing or food sensitivity testing, all these different types of tests, but still offer a program in a group format?
Yep.
So, guys, in this hybrid model, it is absolutely possible. And you can do it really, really well. So how did you settle on the topic and structure of your program?
So I felt like I really needed to find something that there was a need for. And I
Mhm.
think that was, what I think I missed in the first time around when I try to do the webinar is it was a little too broad. It didn't quite fit the needs of my clients. And so I kind of sat back and I'm like, well, what do my clients need?
Mhm.
What do most people benefit? Like when my clients go through my one-on-one program, what do they benefit the most from? And how can I kind of deliver that in a group program? So, I just kind of decided, well, my one-on-one program has been doing so well. Why not just convert that to a group?
Right.
So that's kind of how I came up with it. And I'm like, well, if it doesn't work, I'll just try something else.
Well,
But
that's
it
the
ended up
best
working.
attitude.
So
Yeah. Well, okay, couple just quick comments there. So for anyone that kind of knows my structure and or has worked with me, you probably know that I am a huge fan of starting at the top of that profit pyramid, right? The high-end one-on-one programs. And partly because, big reason is you can get traction financially while you're preparing yourself to build out those other levels, right? Those other programs that are more scalable inside of your business. And so I'd like to focus there in part because you've delivered the service, right? You know it works. And you can literally take that exact framework that you know and trust that you've created for your one-on-ones, and you can just move it over here into the group format. And I would say, that is probably the best way to go about it. But I guess the only caveat is that, ideally you would have experience in delivering that format in the one-on-one, just like Annie did. Because she, went into it confident, like, I know this works. And guys, confidence it's really half the game, truly, wouldn't you say? Like, confidence that it's going to work.
Yeah. And even, when I kind of pitched it to, the first program, when I was pitching it to clients that I was speaking to on the phone, I knew that it would work because it's the same stuff that I do with my one-on-one clients. So I said, listen, like, it's the same exact thing that you're getting. It's just a group program. And that's really how I got people to sign up for it.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah, that is really, really good. Okay. So what kind of results are you seeing?
So my last group program I had, it was actually the first time I did it. I try to keep them small. So I capped it at 8. I ended up getting four people, which I was pretty excited about just for the first time around. And everyone had improvements.
Amazing.
Some people more than others, but they definitely were like, I can't believe how much better I feel. Within my client population, fatigue, brain fog, and like muscle and joint pain are usually like a kind of a big are the biggest complaints. Digestion too, but and everyone saw. I gave them like a symptom score to do like every week, and you just watch the numbers drop. I mean, it's pretty awesome to see how well people do. And especially with my first time around the group program, I was a little nervous that, I'm like, I hope this works the same. I think it will, but it's nice to have that validation that, it did actually work.
Yeah. And then hopefully you got some testimonials, right?
Yep.
Which will make it so much easier the next time around, which is coming right up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm planning on launching again.
Plan is.
So I'm actually getting ready to launch a new program, the same program, I guess, starting in July. So I'm in the middle of doing my launch for that. So I have a free webinar coming up that's basically, tied to the group program. And so hopefully I'll get more people that way.
Awesome. Yep. I think you will. All right. So, so let's talk just a little bit about any strategies that you can share that, was helpful in terms of getting people to sign up for the program.
So I started really marketing it like months before it launched, just to kind of see if I could get anyone. And how I basically did it was, every time I had a discovery call with a new client, I would say, hey, I have this one-on-one program, but I also have this group program. And, like I said, I pitched it the same way. I'm like, you get the same things. It's just a group. It's slightly, it's less expensive. And so that's how I actually started really enrolling people into the program. And for this program, because it's an intensive program, I do require everyone to fill out. If they're just interested in the group program, I require them to fill out an application first to make sure that it is a good fit. And then we have a conversation about it. So, a lot of the people that I enrolled in my first program I enrolled them off of, just conversations and asking them what their goals are. And and then I kind of described what I offer and they could pick. And, a couple of people picked the group program. So
yeah. And guys, I mean, I think you bring up such a good point in terms of how to actually get people in. because it's a higher price point as compared to like the 6-week webinar, obviously, right? It is a more premium program with a higher price point. So I personally highly recommend that you enroll people through a conversation. It's really pretty challenging. I wish it weren't true, guys. I wish that you could just send people to a sales page and they would just click buy. But at this price point, and the other thing is it's partially the price point, but it's also, these people have struggled a lot and they're a little nervous, a little cautious about, probably spending more money on another thing that doesn't work. They just want to know, is this a right fit, right? So the bottom line is, this is really, really important. Enroll them through a call, right? You can have a sales page. Highly recommend that you do. Highly recommend that you have like a little sales funnel leading into your offer, like a webinar. We teach all of that in granular detail in Lucrative Course Blueprint. So, which is running right now, lucrativecourseblueprint.com. But I think so like on Annie's webinar, she's going to do some teaching, right?
Yep.
And then she's going to lead people into that next step on the webinar, which will be a conversation with her, right? And she's asking them to fill out an application before she gets on the phone with them, just to, honestly, I think it's a great idea, right? Because they have to have a little skin in the game.
Yeah. And it's a 3-month program. So it is a commitment on,
It is.
both my end and their end.
Yeah.
So, I feel like you need to have that conversation with people to make sure that it's going to work for them and it's not going to be a waste of their time and your time.
Exactly. So, yep. So that is, I think, a really good strategy. So let's see here. I think we got a couple of questions. Oh, hey, Eleni, how are you? So Eleni, who specializes in PCOS. So any advice on how to keep groups going? For instance, do you have multiple groups at a time? How do you ensure you have enough signups and organized starting dates? Any thoughts on that?
That's a great question. So I had just finished my group program at the end of May, beginning of June.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think if I were a little bit more organized, ideally I would have started the launch program, the launch sequence, and, getting people in like in April and May, so I could start it again in June. But I just, May is crazy, so I didn't. So now I'm giving myself a month to kind of between when the group ended and then the next one. But for the next group, I'm going to try and schedule them a little more back to back. So I can kind of fit another one in before the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and in terms of how do you ensure you have enough signups, it's honestly, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that you want to share, Annie.
I always mention it now whenever I have a discovery call, even if I don't have like anything like really planned. I'm like, hey, I'm doing another group. It's going to start maybe around this time. Sometimes I'll offer, like, if it's really far out in advance, I'll throw in like an extra coaching session or, maybe like an extra, just something to kind of get them started.
Yeah. Agreed. That's a great idea. Yeah. And, I would just say the other thing is, it's list building. It's like, you constantly looking for opportunities to get in front of your audience and to grow it, right? So I really recommend looking for opportunities to guest podcast, right? Like getting in front of other people's audiences can be extremely helpful to really help you to jumpstart this whole process. And I think it can be really helpful to plan, like if you can get in front of other people's audiences around the time that you're launching. Obviously that can be a big win too, but I like to do it year round, especially in those in between times, so that I can kind of start to ramp up for the next thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but you do bring up a really, really important point, and one that, we really do have to be cognizant of, right? So, bottom line is I always feel like we need new people on our list so we don't just burn through our list, right?
Yeah.
So,
The other thing too, which I did, and I ended up getting a few bites on it, was I started a wait list for my program.
yes, I was
So I had
just going to say that.
Yeah, so I had changed my sales page with like the group program application to say like, hey, another group program's coming, jump on the wait list.
Yeah.
And so actually just yesterday, I had like 4 people on my wait list. And so I, sent them emails like I'm
Amazing.
pre-enrolling, let's set up a conversation, a time to meet and chat so we can get you in.
Yes, so good. And that was something that I think we talked about in Epic,
Mhm.
which is a mastermind that I run, that Annie is a part of. And interestingly, that strategy, the waitlist strategy, another one of our colleagues in Epic was saying that because she has kind of the same type of program, like she repeats, it's actually very different content, different audience, right? But very similar kind of structure and frequency in terms of launching. And she did the waitlist strategy and got 5 people in like 2 months before it starts. That is amazing when you can do that, because that takes so much pressure off, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've got 5 people, right? So put up a wait list in between for sure. Okay, awesome. Let's see what other questions we've got. Yes, application before the call. Cindy, that I highly recommend that strategy. For many, many different reasons, but one is they have a little skin in the game, right? Like they've taken the time to fill this out. And not to mention, it gives the practitioner some background info, right? And so that's like a whole topic in of itself, like the questions to ask. But basically, what you're trying to wrap your mind around in that application, is, are they a good fit? How committed are they? Are they willing to invest in themselves, not only financially, but also doing the work, time? Because you really do want people that are going to be successful. So I would just say, all in all, it's a great strategy. And then if you don't have enough people, would you cancel?
Yeah. I would even do it if I had 2 people, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think 2 is like the minimum. So
Yeah.
if I don't
And
have 2, I might convert maybe the one person into, a
one on
one-on-one, maybe just at a discount.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's interesting. So I had a client not too long ago that kind of threw together a group program. I mean, not threw it together, like was methodical, right? Put it together. And like the week before, she didn't have any signups. And she was like, obviously stressed. Leslie, should I cancel? And she'll be the first to admit that she kind of wanted to cancel because it would just be like a relief, right? And I'm like, we can't cancel. We can't, because I know you can do this. And I shared all the strategies because, guys, I've been in that boat too. I really have. And she ended up she just put it together. She had an amazing group and she did it in less than a week. So like it really can be done. So like I guess my answer to that is you can always get more people, right? You can always get enough people to run the group. Most of the time, I would say like 99%. But you do have to really put yourself out there, right? Like you may have to go through your list of people that you've talked with over the past year or so, and perhaps they couldn't work with you. Those are the people that you want to get in touch with and just, let them know, hey, I was thinking of you. I put this new program together. I honestly, based on what I recall of our conversation, I really think you might be a great fit. Would you like to jump on a 15-minute chat? Right? So it doesn't happen magically. In other words, you really have to, it takes some effort, but I think it's really worth it because wouldn't you say, Annie? I mean, it's just so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I had such a great time doing it. And now, the first time around is obviously hard because you're
Yeah,
putting everything together. But now that it's done, I'm like, it's so much easier. And I can't wait for the next one to start because it'll just be less stress for me.
exactly. So let's see. Do you just cover nutrition or even other challenges your target audience has, like stress management? That's a great question.
Yeah. So I do both. I do lifestyle. A lot of it is nutrition, but for this last one, I brought in some guest speakers. So I had someone who is actually someone I went to high school with who now specializes in stress management. So she spoke to the group about that. I had someone come in to talk about CBD supplementation because that can be really helpful for autoimmune diseases as well. So, I had someone talk about that. And then I, myself incorporated some other lifestyle things because it is, when you're healing from an autoimmune disease, it's not just nutrition. There's a lot of other kind of aspects that people need to consider. So I kind of just at least present those in a way to have people start thinking about them. And then if they want to explore other avenues with other practitioners who might be more experienced, then they have that knowledge to do so.
Exactly. Amazing. Do you have any favorite questions that you want to share, Annie, that you think are, I mean, obviously we can't like go into the whole entire application, but maybe you can share, a question or two that you think might be especially helpful.
I
You have,
always like to, the one that I like to ask, well, there's two. If you could wave a magic wand and make everything go away, how would your life be different?
oh, good one.
Because I feel like that, at least helps people start thinking about, well, this is what my life could be like, and maybe this can
Yes.
get me there. And then I always just say on like a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you? Because I really only like working with people who are at like between an 8 and a 10,
Yeah,
because I know they'll stick with it. There's nothing worse than having people join your group and then not show up and not participate.
exactly. Yeah, those are two really good questions. Awesome. So, as we start to wrap up, any, I guess, final words of wisdom?
I would just say if you're interested in starting a group program, really take a really close look at your population, the population that you serve, and figure out what they need. And I think once you do that, you will be successful. It's just, figuring out what people are looking for, what isn't available for them, and how can you bring your expertise into a larger setting where you can reach more people.
Love that. Exactly. All right. That was great. Oh, it looks like we have one more question here. I don't see one-on-one patients and just do groups. Any recommendations on how to promote? So, I don't know if you have an email list. Elka, I think, I mean, there's so many ways that you can do it without getting super techy, right? Obviously, there's the tech way, which is, email marketing. I always recommend that. Always, always. It's still probably your best bet, assuming you've got an email list. But if you don't have an email list, you can literally hand invite people, right? Anyone, any of your private client, or you don't have one-on-ones. I mean, just people that that might be a good fit, people that that might know people that are a good fit, right? Like networking, depending on your area of expertise. One of my favorite strategies is utilizing referral partners. Like that can be amazing. Really just look for opportunities to get in front of other people's audience, right? that serve your same target market. Like, to me, that is, oh, you do have an email list. Awesome. Yeah. So, do what I teach, specifically in my course, Lucrative Course Blueprint, is, you want to have a precursor up front as part of your funnel, right? So like a webinar or a challenge or something like that, that leads people down that path of knowing, liking, and trusting you, and kind of prepping them to take that next step with you, right? So it is kind of an emotional and psychological kind of experience for people to feel ready to step in, right? So you kind of need that warming up period, via, like, what Annie's doing is a webinar. So she's done challenges before, or at least I think last time she did a challenge, and this time she was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a 1 hour thing and be done with it. And, and basically, guys, the idea is you provide value before you ask people to buy. Okay, let me repeat that, because I know this is kind of a different concept. We need to provide lots and lots of value, and kind of give them a taste of what we're all about in the form of, in Annie's case, a webinar. On that webinar, we provide the value, the education, whatever it is we're teaching, and then we position the paid program as the next step in their journey. Okay. So, oh, Sharon wants to know, what's a challenge? Okay. Funny you asked that. I'm creating a mini class or a mini course right now on how to do a challenge. So basically, a challenge is like, gosh, I've done many of them where, you basically pick, what did you do last time?
I did a ditch your inflammation. So it was like a 10-day, anti-inflammatory eating challenge where people just kind of eliminate a bunch of foods and see how they feel.
Exactly. So like, you pick one outcome that you want to help people to achieve. And I would say the biggest challenge for challenge creators is narrowing it down to one thing, right? So just because we tend to be very comprehensive in our thinking and in our approach. So basically, it's picking a topic, and then, you're a lot of times we do challenges in a private Facebook group, but you don't have to. You can do it on Zoom. I've done it both ways. Which way did you do it? Did you do it on Zoom? I think you did, right?
Yeah, I did it on Zoom.
Yep. So, you jump on it. It does take some pre-planning for sure, and organization, definitely. But basically, the advantage to doing a challenge, it is work. So do be clear. It's not like it just, happens. It does take some effort. But the nice thing is that the know, like, and trust factor is pretty much there, because, they've hung out with you for however long the challenge lasts. Because what you end up doing is you go live, X number, like in my challenges, mine are usually like 4 or 5 days long. So I'll go live every day for that 4-day period at the same time, right? And I'll teach the content. Usually there's some written materials included, and then it's just such a great segue into the sale. So hopefully that helps. It is a little bit, it's a great strategy. It really is. Okay, so let's see here. So Lucy, I'm interested in learning more about your course on challenges. Awesome. Definitely. That gives me a little kick in the pants, as they say, which occasionally we all need, right? So yeah, awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm kind of excited. I'm just finishing. Actually, I'm going to record it tonight and tomorrow, a mini course on how to do a live show. So I'm excited about that. And then the next one that's already in the docket is how to do a challenge. So, but thanks, Lucy. That's that little nudge, that little something that I needed, right, to get me going on that. So thanks for that. All right, guys. What a pleasure it was today. Really loved hanging out with you, Annie. Such great, just thanks for sharing all your wisdom around this topic and your enthusiasm. And I'm so glad that you were able to find a way to, a new way to serve your audience, right? And there's so many benefits, right? Like that community, being really to be able to step in as the leader and teach people and lead them through this journey that they're on, a new revenue stream, pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
And the ability to be able to serve your audience at a little bit of a lower price point while still providing amazing care. And what more could you want, right?
Right.
That pretty much fits the bill. So, all right. So thanks so much, Annie. I really, really appreciate your time today. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Loved hanging out with you this afternoon. And I'll look forward to seeing you same time, same place next Thursday. All right. Bye for now, everybody.